New questions about the effectiveness of cigarette warning labels. A survey finds that the number of people who view cigarette or heavy cigarette smoking as bad for your health, it's gone down. Now, the study says that this perception is taking hold, especially among teenagers and young adults in a lot of states all across the country. Are the messages from warning labels and scientific studies simply not enough to get through? So let's bring in our panel. Judy Miller, Fox News contributor and adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute. KT McFarland, a Fox News national security analyst and birthday girl. And Deneen Borelli, a Project 21 fellow, columnist for the Daily Caller, and a Fox News contributor. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So do you think that the ads, the scientific research, is just not doing its job? What else can we do?
Well, I think we ought to make young people watch more TV, Heather, because if you
wait a minute.
no, I'm serious. If you look at some of these ads that they're now showing, they're horrifying.
Well, they
of
did
the inside of lungs, and so clearly young people are simply too much doing this and not enough eyeballs on the camera so that they can see the terrible things that happen.
But there were some studies that those graphic advertisements didn't work.
No, they're turning them out. I think, in fact, this is actually not bad news. Why? Because if you look at the cancer rates, they in fact have gone down, and they've gone down significantly in the last 20 years. I think the reason young people don't realize it's a health issue is, well, most young people think they're immortal anyway, right?
That's right.
So if you say to them, read the label on the side of a cigarette pack, they're not going to believe it. But they don't know people who've died of lung cancer anymore. 20 years ago, everybody knew somebody who had it or died of it. Young people don't. And I think that's a testimony to the fact that it's worked. Now, have the labels worked? No, nobody reads that stuff. What's worked is that cigarettes are really expensive. They're illegal. You can't smoke in most places, and there's been no cigarette advertising.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise.
That's the biggest.
I think we all know that cigarette usage, smoking is going down. I mean, in New York, on average, it's like $10 a pack or something like that.
Yeah.
But with this survey with teenagers, I mean, how do we even know they're being truthful? This is like asking your teenager who broke the lamp, you know? You never get a straight answer.
Well, John
from them.
Stossel did that study on cheating, and he talked to a bunch of kids out there in Times Square, and it was interesting that he was asking them, do you cheat? And they answered, and he was a little surprised, you know, at the answers they got. They said yes, so they were being honest. They were cheating, but they were being honest about it.
I think this is a waste of tax dollars to do such a survey.
I always love these surveys, and when I see that they're taxpayer funded, I always say, don't these people have something better to do?
Well, we have another topic, a panel of medical experts endorsing that the government mandate free birth control for all women. It thinks that insurance companies should cover contraceptives without co-pays. That's the difference. The recommendation sparking a firestorm of debate, as you would expect. So should the government be involved in reproduction?
This is nothing but a bribe. I think this is a bribe for women to try to get them to jump on board with Obamacare, because we know Obamacare is not popular with the majority of the American people, and also to try to prop up Obama's polls, because his polls are going down because of his toxic policies.
See,
I think this is a bribe.
The thing I find, though, is that what is one of the biggest issues in America today? Abortion, right? Abortion, half of all pregnancies are unwanted.
That's right.
And almost half of those unwanted pregnancies end up in abortion. We're aborting something like a quarter of all pregnancies. Now, so how do you stop abortion? I would go back and say, let's prevent those pregnancies from happening. But what I don't like about Obamacare is who chooses. You know, who's mandating, we're going to cover this, we're not going to cover that. That makes me nervous.
Let's get away from politics and realize that this recommendation came about as a result of a National Institute of Medicine study that said this is good for women, this is good for the country, this is good for health care. This is not a political statement. Why should we have more unwanted babies, unwanted children?
But why should people have to sign on to that if their religious beliefs do not believe in, say, contraception?
It's just a recommendation, and it's a recommendation that's guidance to something, by the way, that the insurance companies are already doing.
But two things.
Private insurance companies already pay for this kind of care.
How do we know that women will even use the product, first of all? And second of all, this esteemed panel of counsel did not take into consideration the cost.
Yeah, and that's
what is this going to
issue.
cost taxpayers? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you want to have choice. In any kind of medical care, you want to have choice. And so if you're somebody who doesn't want to have that choice, that's not going to be something you're interested in, great. But if lung cancer is something that you want to be interested in, and you think you need a health insurance plan that's going to cover you for that, do that. You don't want one size fits all.
It's an unwanted child that's expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of choice, you may not have a choice if you want an actual physical book too much longer. Borders, one of the nation's largest book-selling chains, going belly up. The company are going for liquidation in bankruptcy court. Book buyers looking for one final purchase are feeling no joy.
It's sad. I think it's, I don't know, we need more bookstores around.
Borders CEO says that they lost the fight against e-readers, so are books in danger of becoming extinct?
Well, truth in advertising here. My husband is a publisher, and he's got a print-on-demand machine that'll enable you to print out any book, any place, any time.
Oh.
But I don't think books are going the way of the dodo bird. I mean, I think books are here to stay. E-books are only 20% of the market. I love Borders, and I know they're important all over the country, but, you know, when you're the only one going out of business at this point, it's really more a statement about bad management than people's lack of appetite for books. People want to read books.
Well, it's expensive to run these big stores. You have employees, you have inventory, the land, the rent, or whatever it is you have to pay. So I think it's the e-books, but also the financial aspect of the business in general, because it's so much easier and convenient to buy books online now.
Yeah, I think
and
that the people who are whining about this are the same people who probably said, with the Gutenberg Bible, oh, this is so terrible. All those beautifully illustrated, hand-painted, Bibles are going to go the way of the... Or the people, once we invented writing, people said, oh, this is terrible for the oral tradition.
Boy, you're going way back.
You're
going way back.
Or how about just computers?
Or they're going to ruin their...
We have to take a quick break. It's split